In freestyle wrestling today, you have to be able to stop a gut wrench. This gut wrench is probably one of the most predominant moves from the top position, so it's imperative to be able to counter that position. Your basic position is very important to stopping the gut wrench because all your strength to stop the move comes from your basic position. When you're in the parterre bottom position, as soon as the whistle blows, you want to be able to flatten out before the top man can get a lock. Now, you want to keep your chest fairly close to the mat, but you want to have your arms spread out as far as possible, called the big bird position, to stop the gut wrench. This gives me a position to stop him from taking my hips over the top, but also you want your legs spread far apart too. And the side that he's going to, you want that foot to post in the mat and push back toward the side that you want to keep down. So if he's going left, you want to keep all your weight on your right side and keep your hips completely flat to the mat, your chest low, push back as if you're putting all your weight on a spot here on your hip. And it helps if you lift your back toe a little bit, push back in with the other foot, and you're here, spread out position. Now, the side that he's going to, you want to look back over your shoulder at your opponent here. That just helps keep this hip down. Now, if he switches sides, you've got to be able to switch sides with him. So if he's going to the left, switches to the right, you've got to be able to switch your post foot, your hands, and look back over the other side. Here, switches from side to side as he switches. Keep all your weight on your hip, push back with your hands, push in with your post foot, your other leg's up in the air a little bit here. It will help to demonstrate having an opponent on top how this works in practice. Bill? Keep your tape for you. As you do this, you have to choke to keep this foot up, keep you from switching sides and also keep your knees together, keep your legs up. I know. Okay. The first thing you'd like to do is keep your opponent from getting a lock. So you keep all your weight on your hips. You try and glue your hips to the mat so he can't reach in for a lock. But as he starts to reach in for a lock, what you want to do is move forward with your hands, putting weight on his hands, and this will roll his hands over and break his lock. When you move your arms forward, keep a little bit bend in your elbow and your wrists here. Now, just move forward. Don't switch your hips as you move forward. Crawl forward, keeping your hips flat, all your weight rolling his hands off. Now, if he does get the lock, the first thing you can look for is which side is the lock on. The lock is on the side that he's going to be going toward. If the lock's on the left side, he's going to take the gut wrench to the left. If the lock is on the right side, he'll take the gut wrench to the right. So I know if his lock is on the left, I want to have my right hip down and look back over my left shoulder. Exactly the opposite. If his lock is on the right side, look back over your right shoulder, keep your left hip down. This position. Now as he starts to drive the gut wrench, starts trying to load it up and drive forward to take you over, you've got to be able to adjust with your arms and keep moving and keep looking back over your shoulder. Now as he switches to go to the other side, you've got to be able to switch before he gets there. And as he starts to drive, move with it. And don't let him load your hips up on top of his hips. Keep moving your hips off of his hips and adjusting. Always keep both arms up. If you let one arm come down and you're fighting this way, as he switches, you won't be able to switch and get your block or your post on this side to keep him from going over. Also, another thing to remember is in this big bird position, we have our feet spread out wide. But if my opponent is good with the leg turns, you have to be careful not to let him get the legs in. So if my legs are spread out wide, he sets up a leg turn by going into a gut wrench, you'll be in trouble. So if your opponent's good with the leg turns, you're going to want to keep your knees together. You want to still have your foot pulsed out, but your knees are together. They're in this position. Your foot is out, but your knees are together. You're in a scissors type position here. This is your post foot. the underneath leg is here. You can't, so the legs can't come in, and if you have to switch sides, then it will be here. So you've got to be able to read your opponent if he's switching from the gut wrench to a leg turn. And also, sometimes it helps to stick one of your heels up or the other to hinder your opponent from switching side to side. So if he's going to the left, I'll stick my right leg up in the air to hinder him from switching over to the right side. Here. It just is added nuisance that helps thwart his gut wrench. So the main thing is to keep him from getting the gut wrench locked up, keep your hips glued to the mat. If he gets his hands locked, roll his hands by moving yourself forward. Always stay in good position with both arms up. Now read which way he's going to go by where his lock is. Look over that shoulder, post that leg out, keep all your weight on this hip. And be ready to switch. And if he does start to go with it, you've got to be able to move and adjust and keep your basic position as he goes through the gut wrench.